Hello everybody, welcome back to the second week of our Lenten challenge. I am glad you're here. I hope you guys can post in the comments how last week went and if you got to try anything new or if you're feeling miserable because you're withdrawing, which would be awful, but I mean you have to do some of that once, sometimes you have to go through those symptoms. Anyway, this week is about adding something nourishing. And there are about 5 really just main nutrient dense foods that we focus on in the GAPS diet. But anybody obviously can eat these, and usually they're actually the cheaper cuts of meat. You could go and find like a local hunter and get these cuts of meat, or a local farmer and get these cuts of meat for a lot less than, I don't even know if you can get these from the store, but I don't know that I would do that. So we'll start off with the first one. And you have to forgive me, I have my computer here so I don't forget anything important. So the first one is organ meats, by far most nutrient dense. They're almost every single traditional culture that was studied by Dr. Weston A. Price in the early 1900s gave organ meats to pregnant women. They knew that they were so important to the growing baby's development. So the Sioux Indians actually, there was a whole article I read about how they would hunt and kill buffalo, leave the meat for the birds, and eat just the organ meats. And over 3 generations, the men of the tribe grew to be a foot taller and had, their muscles were bigger and their face was wider, which meant they didn't get sinus infections and so on. So how do you get organ meats into foods? Well, there's many ways we've figured out, because I certainly did not grow up eating organ meats, and it was actually very challenging for me to be brave enough actually to do all of these nourishing foods I'm going to talk to you about. I always felt very vulnerable the first time I did it. So recently we tried boiling a heart, just like I would boil my beef bones, and it boiled and pulled apart just like a roast would. So that's a way you can incorporate a beef heart. Chicken hearts are a lot smaller, and we've only started to use chicken hearts since we've started butchering our own chickens. And our kids love them. They actually kind of taste like little chicken hot dogs. They have that texture of a hot dog. So sometimes you can wrap them in bacon and serve them that way. I'll share a link. We just tried a beef kidney, which was a little bit more adventurous. And you can check out that recipe. And liver pills. I pre-cut beef and chicken liver, and I kind of make it flat into about this size. Some people do really tiny things and they swallow one at a time. I would just rather cut a piece like this. I put them all on a parchment paper and freeze them, and then put them in a bag after they've frozen into pieces. So I take one chunk out, chew it real quick, just so I make them smaller really quick in my mouth, and then swallow it as a whole. You really can't taste it because the meat is frozen and you can get a whole bunch of liver in. I have liver issues, so I make sure I do that at least once or twice a day with those bigger pieces. Some people can also put liver in meatloaf or like raw liver pate, but that's the way I like to do it, because raw liver has a different nutrient profile than cooked liver. It has lots of B vitamins and actually vitamin C, so you need that when your body's healing for sure. You need extra amounts. Okay, so second on my list is another raw food, and that is egg yolks, raw egg yolks. are actually the second most digestible food, first being human breast milk. So that tells you something right there. All the nutrition from the egg yolk is perfectly, quickly absorbed into your body. Okay, so egg yolks, you can actually just start by adding, like separating the white out and adding one to a warm soup. And it mixes in and actually makes it really creamy. I make something called a GAPS milkshake every single morning. And I've worked my way up to having 6 to 8 egg yolks a day because I have adrenal issues, which means my adrenal glands are really vulnerable. And let's see, I'm trying to think of how to get there. The adrenals and the lungs are very, very hungry for cholesterol organs, and egg yolks are very high in cholesterol. And I have noticed a big difference starting with these GAPS milkshakes. You just do egg yolks, butter or fermented cream or fermented yogurt. You blend that together, and then you can juice, like carrot juice or whatever, and mix it in. You could just have a Russian custard, like in some of these videos I'll share. And that's just raw egg yolks mixed with honey. And if you freeze that, or you can eat it right away, it's really good. Our kids love that as a treat. Anyway, so cholesterol is actually one of the biggest building blocks, along with animal fats, for your hormones, your brain health, your heart health, your lungs. I need cholesterol as a surfactant to move, I guess. You have cholesterol that's stored under your skin that actually, once you are getting the sun and your body makes vitamin D, the cholesterol helps move the vitamin D around your body like a hormone. And anyways, it's really important. It's actually so important that if you don't eat enough, your liver will make the cholesterol for you, which is why the doctors try to give medicines to stop the liver to do that, because they think cholesterol is bad. And I personally disagree with that. I think it's a very helpful nutrient in the healing and surviving process. Okay, so these next 3 foods, I kind of grouped it together because they do kind of a similar thing in the body. Meat stock, meat close to the bone, and animal fats. Okay, so these are clearly all animal products that are higher in fat and closer to the bone, which means they have more collagen and, what's that other word? What do I put in the jello? Gelatin. Collagen and gelatin. Okay, so, and then of course the animal fats. So when you find a food in its natural state, like a chicken leg or a whole egg, usually the food has the whole entire nutrient profile that you need to, you need calcium for vitamin D, like a whole raw milk has magnesium and calcium and vitamin D, all in the perfect balance for you to use those vitamins appropriately and not be pulling from your other vitamin stores in your body. And that's kind of how meat stock and animal fats are. They have that perfect fatty profile to heal your gut lining and then be absorbed, and heal the rest of your body. You really need animal fats to heal, and they're just full of nutrient, like vitamins, A, D, especially A, D, K, and E, but they have all sorts of other vitamins as well. I think there's this misconception that animal foods are terrible for you and you need to eat more and more vegetables. But if you look at our anatomy, so, we chew our food, it goes down into our stomach. Our stomach acid is actually designed to break apart fats and proteins. And then it goes to the small intestines, so you can absorb those fats and proteins, right? Then it goes to the large intestines, and that's where you have most of your bacteria that can break down plant material, especially raw plant material. Once you cook vegetables, they're a little different, but the raw plant material doesn't even start being broken down as much until your large intestines, which is at the end of your digestive tract. It's not in there as long as if it doesn't have as much time to be absorbed. Whereas all the proteins and fats now have your whole entire digestive tract to be absorbed because your stomach acid, pancreas, and has all these enzymes to make the different fats and proteins available to the rest of your digestive tract to be absorbed. So if you look, there's a vegetarian GAPS book, and she goes into it. It's really neat. She compares our digestive tract to the digestive tract of a cow, and just how different they are and why the cow can eat grass and actually get the nourishment it needs. So it's really interesting to read, and give you just having a bigger picture of what, why I would recommend these foods. So, all right, let's see. If you can't, so this is an interesting piece. If you cannot tolerate animal fats, there's a good chance your liver is congested. A lot of people think that our body is very sterile. I used to think that there was no bacteria, no parasites. That was weird, icky stuff. No, our body is a combination of everything. The parasites are actually welcomed in. Sometimes they overgrow because of something we've taken or done, but sometimes they're welcomed in to cope with certain toxins. And a lot of times they like the little ducts that go to your liver and your pancreas. It can make it more hard for your liver to keep pushing out bile for digestion. If you're having problems breathing after you eat a fat, or your stomach hurts, or you're nauseated, you're constipated, those are all signs that you're not tolerating fats very well. So there's many things you can do about it. Ultimately, you need to address gut health, because the toxicity that your liver is dealing with can also be from toxins being partially a food not being broken down properly, which becomes toxic because it needs to be a certain way in your body. And when those particulates come through your gut wall and they're not broken down properly, they're toxic. Your blood can't break those down. So you have to heal the gut wall to get rid of some of that toxicity, and then you can work on the parasites. But in the meantime, some ways to help your liver are the GAPS milkshakes, or the GAPS shakes. Raw liver helps your liver. Cod liver oil, if you don't have any seizures or tics or involuntary movements. I actually cannot take cod liver oil. And coffee enemas. So I actually do really well with coffee enemas. They release, coffee enemas help release a substance called glutathione, which really boosts your liver to flush out those bile ducts. One more important thing to note is when we're talking about animal products, it's important to buy the best quality you can. Always think in terms of good, better, best. If you can't afford the best, that is fine. Just do the good and the better. Whatever you can afford. You definitely would, people have healed just using conventional animal products. I think it will be a faster journey if you can find local farmers that are that pasture raise their animals. When the animals are eating the grass and in the sunshine, they really have just so much higher nutrient profile. The meat does. So while you might be paying twice as much, the nutrition you're getting is 4 to 7 times as much. So that's why we've always, no matter where our finances have been, we've always pushed ourselves to buy the right food, and maybe we don't go out as much and we have just more fun family time in our house or whatever it is. That was one of our priorities. Anyway, so if you can't find a local farmer, and we actually use Butcher Box. I'll link that below because I think you get a free something when you sign up. I don't know. We got free bacon for life. And I really like Butcher Box. I get their bacon, and then I get whatever meat. So right now we don't have pork. I didn't get a pig from a farmer because we just started raising pigs. So I'll get some pork roast for us every month. And then different events coming up, you can get like chicken wings or chicken thigh, things that like when you're growing your own chicken, you don't really feel like cutting up every little cut. So it's nice to have an option for a convenience type meat. I will say some of their meats, like the sausages stuff, they do have sugar in them, so you have to watch the ingredients, but generally it's a better option than the supermarket for sure. All right, lastly are fermented foods. So as I talked about, your large intestines and really your whole digestive tract, your mouth, everything has bacteria. They've even found bacteria in blood vessels and all over your body. And when I said this in the last video, when you take antibiotics or even ibuprofen or different things, it affects, like ibuprofen or those types of medicines can mess with your stomach acid level, which changes the bacteria balance, and now something that was in there not meant to be the bacteria that wasn't meant to actually like thrive in your stomach is now thriving, and it's causing other issues because of the medicine that decreased the stomach acid level. So we really need to introduce fermented food and probiotics. I don't recommend supplements because you just don't know what they're putting in supplements. There's no regulation on supplements, and like there could be sand, you could be taking sand or cotton or whatever, whatever it is, and that's certainly not going to help. You're wasting your money. So instead of doing that, put it towards your butcher box or whatever, your local farmer for sure. Anyways, so ferments, you culture them, you let the natural bacteria on the foods kind of pre-digest your food. So the nutrition value, I mean, if you compared cabbage and sauerkraut, I think I've heard sauerkraut has almost 10 to 20 times more vitamin C than the cabbage does, because the bacteria break down all the fibrous cabbage and help make everything. They release all the nutrients, and your body can just absorb it and not have to work as hard to break down that food. So we want to bring those bacteria so our gut can restore its vitality, and it has all that it needs to be equipped to break down our food as well. I use sauerkraut as an example because that just seems to be the king of ferments. It just is traditionally, cabbage, especially, in Germany, the European countries, they could just make these huge vats of sauerkraut, and that's what they ate all winter long. And that's what probably kept them from getting as sick as we are nowadays. So not only were these ferments good for them in a way that they didn't have science to explain, but that's actually how they stored their food. So once again, the bigger picture of, I grew a good garden this year and I don't have a refrigerator, and how am I going to store some of this? So of course they would dig root cellars and stuff, but you still had certain things that you would want to ferment, and you just put it in a big vat with water and salt, and it preserved your food. So it's, once you keep going back, you can really realize like how far away from these cultures we've come, and I think that reflects how far our health has gone down. Okay, so I think that's enough information for this week. I encourage you to find a local butcher. You might be able to get, I didn't tell you how to make meat stock. Let's do that really quick. So for fish stock, you would just boil a whole fish for like an hour, not very long. A chicken is 2 to 3 hours. A bigger animal like a beef or a bison is about 4 hours. Meat stock is much easier on your digestive tract than bone broth, so we start with meat stock. Bone broth actually has something in it. If your gut is not healthy, it can come across like MSG in your body. So we really try to stick with the meat stock during the healing periods of time. So you boil that, it's 1 liter of water per pound, which 1 liter, 1 quart, it's about the same thing. per pound of the product and chicken. I do chicken a lot because that's what we grow. So in addition to putting the whole chicken in there, I throw 2 or 3 chicken feet in it, and it gives it a really jelly finish. It actually should look like Jell-O when it's cooled. I'll show you. Owen, you want to go get some meat stuff for me? Thanks. Okay, so this is a recent batch. Oh, it sealed itself. I don't pressure can this, just the heat from when I'm making it sucks it down. So you can see, can you see it, Oren? You can see how it looks like Jell-O. And that's a pretty dense meat stock, and that's good. That's from the chicken feet. I added a lot of chicken feet to this batch because I haven't been in for a while. So I wanted some extra gelatin to it. Make sure you don't buy gelatin processed. I do use gelatin, but I use it as a treat to make desserts. I can put it away if you don't want to. Not as a staple. It's not the same. So get yourself some chicken feet or chicken heads, chicken wings if you're not ready to do the feet, and or some joint, maybe a deer joint that nobody can use. Boil that for a few hours, and you'll be really in good shape for your meat stock. All right, so now I think we're officially done. I hope you found something that can help you this week, something small that you can work towards. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or if you guys are trying something new. If you're trying something new and you want to share it with everybody and see if anybody had the same experience you did, or if you were brave enough just to go straight to the beef kidney, share it in the comments below. And until next week, good luck. Have a good week. Thanks for watching.